What's up, everyone? My name is Ethan. Welcome to Splash City. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. Most of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed, so if that is you, you've been around the channel for a while, and you like the type of content I produce, please consider hitting that button down below. With that said, let's get into it for today. So this is my recap of Day 2 of Summer League. I was going to make this part of the video from Day 1, but I ran long, recorded a very long time on a lot of these Summer League games that have happened over the first 2 days. So this is going to be split into 2 parts, and this is Day 2 of Summer League. I'm going to go over all of the games. I've already recorded it. I go over every single game that happened on Day 2, what I noticed from seeing all of them in person, and what's been going on around the NBA Summer League. So stick around if you're into that, and yeah, let's get into it with Day 2. So moving on to Day 2, we had a lot of games today as well. Knicks and Pacers was early. That one got rescheduled because the Wizards and Pacers were supposed to play yesterday, but that one got postponed because the Wizards are in protocol. The names that I saw, I think, was Cassius Winston and Isaiah Todd, and there was a third player. I don't remember who the third one is, but there's 3 Wizards players who are in protocols. Hopefully they'll be able to have enough players to field a team. We haven't heard if they're going to be able to play or not tomorrow. I believe they play. So the Wizards and the Pacers got postponed, and so the Pacers got rescheduled to play the Knicks this morning. So Knicks play again. Knicks play a second game in 2 days in a row. They had Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickley were both great. Toppin's shooting numbers weren't incredible. 8 for 20 is not amazing, but 22 points and 9 rebounds, pretty solid for Obi. And then Emmanuel Quickley had 32 points on 11 for 21 shooting. Like I said, about the game from yesterday, Quickley was not afraid to shoot at all for his first 2 games. He was just pulling up from deep. Every time he got the ball and just a little bit of daylight, he would just shoot it. And today that worked out a little bit better for him than it did previously. So good game here from Emmanuel Quickley. And then on the Pacers side of things, Chris Duarte looks comfortable. Makes sense. He's already 24, or I think he's 23, about to be 24. So it makes sense that Duarte would look comfortable. And then O'Shea Brissett, I was actually surprised that they're having him play because it feels like he's established himself enough in the NBA to not have to be playing in Summer League. But O'Shea Brissett was also really good, 22 points and 7 rebounds for him. Dwayne Washington Jr. Was a guy who I think he was undrafted, and he was 23 points, hit all 5 of his three-pointers, 5 for 5 on 3, 8 for 9 overall from the floor. So Dwayne Washington, maybe a name to look out for. If it's not on the Pacers, maybe he can make some other roster around the league, because pretty solid showing from him. I'll be looking out for some more games from him this week. Just looked it up. Dwayne Washington is on a 2-way deal with the Pacers, so looks like he's going to be under team control, and a good get for them if he can really shoot like that. Moving on, Bulls and Pelicans. This game was close until it wasn't. It was like a 2 or 3 point game with like 3 minutes to go, and then the Pelicans just pulled away super hard at the end. With just a couple of minutes left, they just started bombing from 3, and they won by almost 20. So this one was a lot closer than the box score. But on the Pelicans side, Trey Murphy was incredible. 6 for 9 from 3, 9 rebounds to go for 26 points. Trey Murphy was just splashing threes, man, like nothing but net from the corner, from the top of the key. They were getting on the ball and he was hitting them. So if Trey Murphy, really good performance from him, and he can provide some spacing for the Pelicans that they definitely needed last year. So looking like a good pick from them there. Kyra Lewis, didn't really do much, but he ended up with 11 points. So I guess it's a solid game. Najee Marshall I thought was pretty okay, 18 points from him. Other than that, nobody really on the Pelicans that caught my eye a ton. On the Bulls side of things, Patrick Williams, he finished with 15 points. I think 14 of them were in the first half. So not a great second half from Patrick Williams. First half he was pretty solid, but second half he didn't play super well. Devon Dotson ended up with 16. Iota Sumu only with 6, 2 for 8 from the floor. Not a great debut from him. Hoping he can pick it up a little bit later this week. Ethan Thompson he's from Oregon State. Of course, his name's Ethan, so of course I got to root for him, right? And my name twin there. The only Ethan that I know of in the NBA circle right now. Although I expect that there will be more coming up in the next couple of years because it's a very common name for people my age. So anyway, Ethan Thompson, 11 points, 3 for 5 from 3. Thought he actually had a pretty nice game. I hope he makes a team somewhere because he was really good for Oregon State. I saw him a lot because he played in the Pac-12, of course, and I also cover the Utah Utes. So watched him a lot when he was in college, and they had a deep NCAA tournament run as well. So I think Ethan Thompson has what it takes to potentially stick somewhere in the NBA. Mavericks and Sixers, didn't really watch that one. I was watching some other games. I was watching Nets and Grizzlies, and then I watched Hornets and Kings. So didn't catch much of Mavericks and Sixers. But looking at the box score, it looks like Isaiah Joe, Tyrese Maxey were pretty dominant in this one, and they kind of went off, and it was a 20-point victory. So I'll watch I'll watch the Mavericks and Sixers again as the week goes along. Nets and Grizzlies, I watched the first half of this one. The Grizzlies, Killian Tilly hit a couple of threes. He was 6 for 10 from 3, so Killian Tilly was having a good night there. Desmond Bain, another one, like I kind of talked about with Malachi Flynn and Payton Pritchard. Desmond Bain is well above his pay grade. He shouldn't even be playing Summer League, to be honest with you. But just getting that experience, getting more settled in, makes sense for him. 10 for 19 from the floor, 6 for 8 from 3, for 32 points, 4 assists as well. So Desmond Bain, great game from him. Other than that, Xavier Tillman also is, a little bit too good for Summer League. He had 15 points. On the Nets side of things, Cam Thomas, he didn't do much in the first half when I was watching him, but looks like he started to heat up in the second half, finished with 19 points. Aliza Johnson and Quindary Witherspoon both had 13 as well, to go along with 9 from Brandon Knight. So Brandon Knight is trying to work his way back in the league. Kind of interesting to see him play there a little bit. I wasn't expecting that one. We have Kings and Hornets. This one is super interesting to me because we had Davion Mitchell playing some great defense. He was he was locking up James Bouknight. He was putting him in jail, dude. Like, Davion Mitchell only finished with 10 points. 9 assists is great. Almost the double-double there with the 9 assists. But he was awesome on defense. Only 5 for 10 from the field. 50%. Didn't look to score much, to be honest with you. He wasn't really looking to score. But he was doing a really good job on Bouknight defensively, and it shows up in the box score. Bouknight only 4 for 11, 11 points for him. So he was making life. Davion Mitchell was making life really hard on Bouknight. So I really was impressed with what I saw from Davion Mitchell today. Chimezie Metu is taking threes now. He only hit one of them, but he was like, Chimezie Metu, when you think of him, it's like more of a big guy who scores near the rim, but he took a lot of jumpers today, which I was a little bit surprised by. He finished with 16 points on 5 for 11, so pretty solid for Metu. And then you also had Neemias Queta, who was 4 for 5 from the field for 9 points. Had a couple of nice defensive plays as well, I thought. Jamias Ramsey got up to 22, even though, only 8 for 18, so not crazy efficient, but, pretty solid game from Jamias Ramsey. On the Hornets side of things, LiAngelo Ball was 4 for 8 for 10 points. Of course, like I kind of talked about with him, people are of course, going to be cheering for LiAngelo. Grant Riller, only 1 for 9. Haven't been super impressed with Grant Riller so far through 2 games. Arnoldus Kulboka, hit a couple of threes really early and then cooled off later in the game. And then Nick Richards also had 10 points. He was pretty solid. DJ Carton is a name that I had not heard, but 13 points for him off the bench, so he's been playing pretty solid as well. Up next, Spurs and Timberwolves. Didn't watch this game really at all. Unfortunately, I was in the second half of Hornets and Kings, and then that led right into the Magic Warriors game, which of course I was not going to miss that one. So, did not watch Spurs and Wolves, but I will catch up with both of those teams later on, because I'm definitely actually pretty excited to watch both of them. Josh Primo, of course, for the Spurs is a guy that I want to see. Joe Wieskamp as well. Nobody else really crazy. I guess Trey Jones is also another guy that I was excited to see. Devin Vassell had a good game, looks like, for them. And then for the Wolves, McKinley Wright IV is a guy I wanted to watch. Nathan Knight, Jaden McDaniels, Kenny Wooten, one of my personal very underrated, very obscure players. Went to Oregon and I liked him there. So Kenny Wooten, I'm excited to see him if I can catch a game. Other than that, nothing crazy. It looks like in that game, Jalen Noel had a nice game, Nathan Knight as well, and Jaden McDaniels all played pretty solid. So I'll catch up with the Timberwolves when I can. Magic and Warriors. This one was close. First overtime game we've had of Summer League, which was fun. Only 2 minutes in overtime for Summer League, so really quick overtime there. This was a close one. Obviously, the Warriors kind of gave it away down the stretch of OT. A couple of missed dunks. Gary Payton missed a dunk. I think Kuminga missed one, if I'm not mistaken. I was kind of caught up in the moment. It was kind of crazy in there. I was sitting really close, and everything was really loud. So I don't remember exactly the play-by-play. I know Gary Payton got stuffed at the rim, which kind of sucked, but anyway, they lose. Obviously I'm not too upset about it, even though of course I wanted the Warriors to win, but it's Summer League. It doesn't matter for anything. 91-89. Looking at this box score here, Kuminga, I thought, had a pretty solid game. 16 points on 6 for 16 shooting. Couple of turnovers, couple of, bad fouls. Stuff that makes sense for a guy who's as raw as Kuminga, but overall I thought he was pretty good. Moses Moody, he's a great decision maker already. He knows what to do out on the court. 15 points, he hit 2 for 5 on 3, 6 for 13 overall from the floor. I thought he was pretty good. Justinian Jessup was okay, only 1 for 5 from 3 for him for 7 points. Gary Payton II, he was really good, especially on defense. That's what we know him as. He's a veteran, he's been around the league a long time and is trying to, earn his way onto the Warriors roster for next season. So he's, a little bit better than the rest of the guys who are here just because he's a veteran. Kyle Guy had 15 points off the bench for Golden State as well. What was his numbers? 4 for 10 from the field. So pretty solid game from Kyle Guy. On the Magic side, there's this guy, Tima, I don't know how you say it. Tima, the blonde guy who's from Greece, I think, somewhere in Europe. He was drafted in 2013, had his draft rights changed a bunch of times or traded a bunch of times. And he had 11 points off the bench, and he kind of became a meme on Twitter. If you've seen it, he was wearing number 61, I think. Guy with, bright, like, platinum blonde hair, and is, like, super buff and had a lot of tattoos and looked really weird. So Timo was interesting and kind of became the meme of the night. Jalen Suggs ended up with 24 points on 9 for 22, so pretty solid game there from Jalen Suggs, of course. RJ Hampton, Cole Anthony, Franz Wagner, all were okay. Actually, Cole Anthony shot only 1 for 9, so not a super great game from him. Franz Wagner only 2 for 8. So the Magic, they were pretty solid all night long. It was mostly Jalen Suggs. And then Iggy Brazdeikis off the bench as well. He ended up with 12 points. So, Warriors Magic was the marquee matchup. It definitely didn't disappoint going to overtime, and 2-point victory for Clippers and Bucks up next. This was a big comeback by LA. They still end up losing this one 78-81, but they were down like 15-20 points in the second half of this one and came all the way back to almost win here. They were up with a couple of minutes to go and ultimately fall just shy here. On the Clippers side of things, Jay Scrubb, of course, with a name like Scrubb, he's got to be good. 24 points, 10 rebounds on 10 for 18 shooting. Really nice game from him. Daniel Oturu finished with 12 and 10, so pretty solid game from Daniel Oturu as well. Off the bench, BJ Boston had a couple of nice moments, hit 2 big threes to kind of bring them back into this one. 10 points, as well as Roach. I don't know Roach's first name, like Kalen or something, K. Roach. 10 points. He was perfect from the floor, 4 for 4. 2 of those were 3-pointers, so 10 points for Roach. And, he hit a couple of big shots to kind of bring them back into this one as well. It was kind of him and BJ Boston hitting a couple of buckets there. In terms of other players on the Clippers, Keon Johnson, 4 for 16, didn't shoot super well, but finishes with 8 points. And, he's just as athletic as advertised. He's going to throw down some crazy highlight dunk this week. I know that that's going to happen. I'm just waiting for it. So got tuned into Keon Johnson there, see if he can, yam one on somebody, but didn't have a super great game tonight. And then Jason Preston, only shot 4 times, made 1 of them. 8 assists, though, is the big number for Jason Preston. He is a really, really good passer. I was super impressed with some of the passes that he made. True point guard, that's what people said about him coming out of Ohio, and that's what I saw tonight, absolutely. He was passing the heck out of the ball, finding teammates in creative ways, getting them, passing them open, basically, and it shows with the 8 assists. So I thought it was, even though he wasn't really looking to score, getting those 8 assists in there, and pretty solid game from Jason Preston. And he was one of my favorite prospects in the draft. Early second round, coming out of Ohio. Guy who was writing on message boards and posting his own highlights to social media. Pretty great story from Jason Preston. So I'm glad that he ended up with the Clippers, and I thought he had a pretty good game. Moving over to the Milwaukee Bucks, Jordan Awara, 30 points from him. 12 for 28. He took the most shots on the team by far. And he was pretty big, hitting a couple of shots down the stretch to keep the Bucks ahead. Even though the Clippers were coming back, they looked to Awara, and he was able to knock down a couple of jumpers to keep them at bay a little bit. 30 points for him, only 4 for 13 on threes, so took 13 threes and only made 4 of them. But 8 rebounds, 6 assists, nearly a triple-double for Jordan Awara. Overall, just a very solid game on multiple levels for him. Sandro Mamukelashvili, 11 and 12, so double-double for him. Thought he was pretty solid. Mamadi Diakite, 13 points. Randolph, 11. I don't know Randolph's first name either, but he had 11 points on 4 for 10, so pretty good game from him. Theo Pinson working his way back into the league, 9 points in the starting lineup for him as well. Other than that, nothing crazy on the Bucks. Moving along, Jazz and Suns last game of the night. Didn't watch much of this one. I was kind of watching the finish of Clippers and Bucks there, and then I came over to watch the third quarter of Jazz and Suns. So caught a little bit of that one, but then I ended up leaving before the fourth quarter was done. So didn't catch much of this one. So the Suns have played twice already, and I haven't really seen them, which is a bummer, but there's nobody that I really am super excited by on Phoenix. They have Jalen Smith, and they also have a Jalen Smith. They have a guard, Jalen Smith, and of course the center, 10th pick from last year, Jalen Smith. So 2 J Smiths on the Suns. Interesting there. Tyshawn Alexander, I thought had a solid game, 16 points off the bench. And Jalen Smith was 12 and 15. So pretty solid game from him as well. Other than that, yeah, nothing. Nobody really crazy that I want to watch on Phoenix. Really, they didn't draft anybody this year. They traded their first round pick for Landry Shamet. So I'm not super crazy about the Suns. And then on the Jazz side, Azubuike, I guess I kind of want to see. Trent Forrest, Gerald Brantley were both okay tonight as well. But other than that, what's his name? Maseo Teague, I think. He only had 4 points tonight, so he's the other guy who might make the roster. But other than that, Jazz and Suns was not a crazy matchup, just because neither of them really had any rookies that I wanted to see, because unfortunately Jared Butler's not playing for the Jazz. I'm not sure the exact reason on that, if it's because of his heart condition, or I don't believe they've signed him to his rookie contract yet, so that might be part of it. The negotiations might be a little bit weird between them, but yeah, Jared Butler's not playing, so Suns and Jazz was not crazy, and so I left that one early, and that's the last game of the night. So yeah, I think that's about all I have on day 2 of Summer League. Like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell if you want to. Leave a comment letting me know what you guys think about day 2 of Summer League. What was your favorite game from the day, and who would you like me to watch moving forward? Who are the players that you're most excited to hear about? I will go out of my way to watch any players that you put in the comments. So that's going to be the end of today's video, and I will see you guys probably back tomorrow with a recap of day 3. So yeah, see you guys then.